Ramaswamy, you would not support an increase of funding to Ukraine?
I would not. And I think that this is disastrous, that we are protecting against an invasion across somebody else's border when we should use those same military resources to prevent across the invasion of our own southern border here in the United States of America. We are driving Russia further into China's hands. The Russia-China alliance is the single greatest threat we face. And I find it offensive that we have professional politicians on the stage that will make a pilgrimage to Kyiv, to their Pope, Zelensky, without doing the same thing for people in Maui or the south side of Chicago or Kensington. I think that we have to put the interests of Americans first, secure our own border instead of somebody else's.
What's going on, everyone? Starks Weekend here today, and I just finished watching the GOP debate. I know some of you guys are probably getting mad at me for saying that, but hey, I gotta see my guy Vivek do well. Some of the favorite moments I have of the debate was honestly the closing remarks when where Vivek went through his 7 points of, hey, God is real, there's two genders, human flourishing requires fossil fuels, and I liked a lot of how the debate turned out. With my unbiased take, obviously, if you think I'm biased with my takes, just take 2 points off of Vivek, and that's the objective answer. I think Vivek did an 8.5 out of 10. I think Vivek could have done a little bit better. I think he, I don't know. I felt like he was excited, and that's not a bad thing. That's me being nitpicky, right? I think DeSantis did really, really well in this one. I think there were some things that I loved that DeSantis talked about. Well, the Ukraine question, I felt like he finally gave an answer, even though I felt like he directly answered it a little bit, but he answered it in a roundabout way. So let's take a listen, and I'm only allowed to put 3 minutes of the clips here, or else I might get copyrighted strike from Fox. So let's take a look at some of the snippets there, and I'll give my initial reactions. So
not
this
a territorial dispute
President
either.
of the United States, your first obligation is to defend our country and its people. And that means you're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do to secure our own border. We have
Vivek and DeSantis, they, to me, in my eyes, they separated themselves from everyone else, because for a while, like Ron gave like nuanced answers, while Vivek just gave a clear position. Hey, yeah, I'm against the Ukraine war, especially when you saw in the beginning of the question when they asked if you disagree with the war, sending money, continuing sending money to Ukraine. Vivek already answered it. He already put his hand up, right? And then Ron DeSantis gave a more nuanced answer. He kind of like halfly raised his hand, but he gave a nuanced answer, and this is the clip where this is coming from. This is just me giving full context, right? So let's continue.
tens of thousands of people who are being killed because we're not handling both.
Exactly.
So I am going to declare it a
So this is good. Nikki Haley, in my view, she did good. Like not named DeSantis or Vivek. She did pretty well in this debate. Like I ain't gonna lie, she gave some solid answers. I didn't like the fact that she kept talking and interrupting. Like when Vivek was trying to answer, I forgot one of the critiques he gave against her. I forgot what it was. I think he was talking about the foreign policy stuff, and she was getting mad that, oh, you're gonna let Putin, you're gonna let this thug win the war and get a piece of whatever, and China and Russia already had an agreement to move forward. This war doesn't prove anything. You're just giving a weak position, pretty much. You know, they call her War Hawk Haley for a reason. And I didn't like the fact she kept trying to talk over Vivek when Vivek was trying to give a rebuttal, because she already had her time. So to me, that she lost points in my eyes for that. So I gave her like a 6.5. Pence was the worst of that. Like he kept trying to butt in, and it seemed like Pence from the beginning of the debate, he was going solely for Vivek a little bit. He kept trying to attack Vivek on the concept that he wasn't experienced. We don't need a rookie in the White House. And then in my head, I'm like, didn't Trump win? Wasn't Trump a rookie in the White House? How he win? Was the difference between Vivek and Trump 2015? Right? It's Americans' people opinions that matter if he's ready for the position or not you, career politician. That's how I took it. That's how I took that question. I was like, no, it's not up to you to decide if he's too inexperienced for the job. That's the American people's job, right? And I just think it was a lot of Mike Pence trying to rely on his experience, because I think he's one of the oldest people running in the debate. And obviously you saw it with the mental health test, whatever. But I digress. Let's get in some of the clips.
national emergency. I'm not going to send troops to Ukraine, but I am going to send them to our southern border. When these drug pushers are bringing fentanyl across the border, that's going to be the last thing they do. We're going to use force, and we're going to leave them stone cold dead.
So I like the fire that like this, I think this is what I needed, and this was to me this is the best.
But Governor DeSantis,
This is the
do you
best
believe
one.
that Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th?
So here's what we need to do. We need to end the weaponization of these federal agents.
But that's not
and
the
I will do
question.
that.
That's not the question.
So
I know,
but
here's the thing.
So Vivek and DeSantis had the same answer on this one. I don't need to show you Vivek's because remember I only got 3 minutes of clips that I'm allowed to show you. Vivek and DeSantis agreed on this. Hey, we need to stop the weaponization, but I like the way that DeSantis spin it towards the future. It's like, oh, let's stop focusing on Trump. Why y'all focusing on a guy that's not here? Like the worst thing you could do to people that attend a party is to ask about people who didn't want to show up. Right? So why are you talking about Trump? This is about everyone that's there. So let's stop talking about Trump. And I like how he guided the question towards the future. Hey, what we're looking forward to, and that's why I like Vivek. This is why DeSantis is my third option, because end of the day, they're looking towards the future, right? They may have different visions, and that's fine. It's fine if the candidates have different visions. That's why they're running. But we have to look towards something. Mike Pence wants to go back to the Republican Party of the past, and the American people already said we don't want that. Remember, we elected Donald Trump with no political experience, Mike Pence. And you want to use that to kind of cudgel Vivek with? Laughable. I seen it from the beginning. We don't need a rookie. And I think Vivek handled it pretty well. I think the knives were really out for Vivek. DeSantis, I feel like he got touched a little bit, but I feel like everyone sensed that this is just my personal analysis on the situation, but I felt like everyone felt like Vivek was the easier target, I guess, because maybe this is the first time they've seen Vivek, so they thought, hey, he's an easier target than DeSantis, because I felt like Vivek got pretty much, like, it seemed like most of the debate, and this is just from my memory off rip, most of the debate felt like Mike Pence attacking Vivek and Vivek going at it with Mike Pence and Chris Christie, which I'm gonna show you the next clip, which is with Chris Christie. Here you guys go. No sound.
President of the 21st century.
You raised your hand supporting.
I'd like to get in and respond. Let's just speak the truth, okay? President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century. It's a fact. And Chris Christie, honest to God, your claim that Donald Trump is motivated by vengeance and grievance would be a lot more credible if your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one.
Yeah, and it's facts. I feel like this was a good comeback on Chris Christie, because Chris Christie started getting at Vivek, this Chat GPT guy, rehearsed lines. Like he tried to do the same shtick he did against Rubio, and I like how Vivek kind of pushed back against that. And this was a good rebuttal in Vivek's part, like you said, pretty much calling Chris Christie a hypocrite, right? And so let's continue with the video.
And if people at home want to see a bunch of people blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country, they could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States. We're skating on thin ice, and we cannot set a precedent where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong.
Yeah, principal position. So Vivek and Ron, I'm 100% behind them on this position, right? And I think I have one more clip that I want to show, because I want to be fair, because you guys know I'm a Vivek supporter. I want to give other candidates their shine. I don't like Nikki Haley too much. To me, if I were to be honest, the top three was Vivek. Remember, I gave him an 8.5. DeSantis is, to me, it's neck and neck. I'll give Ron DeSantis 8. I think it was that close. Yes, if I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, I think it was that close. Like it felt like they agreed a lot on some things. And my biggest issue with Ron DeSantis was his position on Ukraine. I felt like he didn't really give an actual position, but in this case, he was a lot more clear. He was a lot more positive. Like, hey, like I did this, I done that. Like you need to hear this. So I like how he like boasts about his record. I like how he talked about like how he volunteered for 9/11 and he learned about missions. So I feel like he painted himself really well in the debates. Found the clip I was talking about. So here you guys go.
Inspired by September 11th, and I deployed to Iraq alongside U.S. Navy SEALs in places like Fallujah, Ramadi. And it's something that I think has taught me, when you go in that type of environment, anything you have, your personal agenda, you check it at the door. You go there, and it's about focusing on the mission above all else. And guys come together, and they get it done. And that's how I would view being the president of the United States. It's not about me. It's not about all these other side issues. My sole focus will be on your future and reversing this country's decline.
Which I agree with, right? And I think one of the problems that I had with Mike Pence is Mike Pence didn't want to acknowledge that there's a lack of unity, unified culture in America. I remember Vivek was talking about in the beginning of the debate how, oh, we're losing our national identity. And Mike Pence was like looking at him like he was crazy. Like, no, he said, American people know who they are. They just need a government that represents that. And I was like, and to me, it came across out of touch. Like, I'm like, yo, Mike Pence, you don't know what's going on. Like, you don't know how much our culture is decayed. You don't know how fractured we are as a generation. For the baby boomers, y'all still kind of united. But as you go Gen X, as you get into the younger generation, our culture is more fragmented and more partisan as you get younger, right? And I make this joke all the time. When millennials get into the power, I won't be surprised if there's a national divorce following right after that. Right, because we have a lack of sense of unity, right? And I don't know if I wanted to make this my video, my main video, my intro video, but yeah, I think I came back to this already, but I kind of want to play it because I really love this one. This was my favorite one.
In 1985, and I grew up into a generation where we were taught to celebrate our diversity and our differences so much that we forgot all of the ways we are really just the same as Americans, bound by a common set of ideals that set this nation into motion in 1776. And this is our moment to revive those common ideals. God is real. There are two genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to man. Capitalism lifts us up from poverty. There are 3 branches of government, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution, it is the strongest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what will win us the revolution of 2024.
Yeah, I agree with everything he said there, right? And I remember when they were talking about the education point, I liked how he I don't know if he got this from Larry Elder, but I like how he paid homage to the nuclear family. Say, yeah, I did have advantages in life. And my advantage was that I grew up in a in a stable household with 2 parents with a focus on education and on God. That's the ultimate privilege. And it's my job to make sure that every kid in this country is able to have the same thing. Right. And I love that message. And I think Larry Elder would appreciate that, because I think one of the main reasons Larry Elder ran in the first place was that he believed that the Republican Party was not talking about fatherless homes enough. And he pretty much took a shot at single mothers. And I have that same type of commentary, how the environment is incentivizing people to make a wrong choice. And at the end of the day, whether you like to admit it or not, no matter how you feel about the issue, single parent households give disproportionately bad outcomes to any community that have a large percentage of them. Higher crime rates, higher chances of teen pregnancy, higher chances of criminal activity, higher rates of poverty, because single parents have a higher propensity for poverty. This is why most of them have a high usage rate using welfare programs, right? This is why. Like we're creating an incentive structure that pushes women down this path, right? And I think Vivek gave a great message on this, and I think I'll probably end it off with this clip, and then I'll give you my final thoughts.
Question, how would you deal with the crisis?
So look, we have a crisis of achievement. Let's shut down the head of the snake, the Department of Education. Take that $80 billion, put it in the hands of parents across this country. This is the civil rights issue of our time. Allow any parent to choose where they send their kids to school. End the teachers' unions at the local level to allow public schools to compete. And then revive our national identity, where every high school senior should have to pass the same civics test that, frankly, every immigrant, including my mother, had to pass in order to become a citizen of this country.
True. And I think I told this story before. I forgot when my mom got her citizenship. I think it's in 2000, right? I was like 4, maybe 5 years old. And I remember helping her, like, do this. You say, okay, ask me this question, whatever. And my mom was preparing for the test. And that's how I got this appreciation for American history, because I had to be like my mom's studying partner for the immigration test. And I think this is what gave me my love for country, and why I care about America so much, and how I want to leave this place better than how I found it. Right. But I digress. You guys, you don't want to hear all this spiel from me. Let's get back into the clip, because I really think this is like one of the important clips from Vivek's campaign, and I'm a hearted because that's how much I love the message that he was pushing on the debate stage. This is just me personally. You guys can have different thoughts in the comment section. Let me know how you guys were taking the debate after you saw this clip, whatever. But if you haven't seen it, this is some of the clips of what I find important. It's not the whole story. I'll advise you to check it out for yourself. Whoever you're betting on this horse. Mostly you guys want to say Trump, but hey, I digress.
And the fact of the matter is, look, there's a part of education policy that also rests with the family. I didn't grow up in money, but you know the word privilege gets used a lot? Well, you know what? I did have the ultimate privilege of 2 parents in the house with a focus on educational achievement. And I want every kid to enjoy that. So part of the problem is we also have a federal government that pays single women more not to have a man in the house than to have a man in the house, contributing to an epidemic of fatherlessness.
Right? Show me the incentives. I'll show you the outcome, and this is perfectly true, right? This is a big contributing problem, right? Whatever the government want to see more of, it incentivizes, whether if it meant to do it or not. And we have to acknowledge the fact that single parent households set up a lot of future generations of Americans for failure. That's a fact. Like, we have to admit that. The black community is a perfect example of that. If you look at the Asian community versus the black community, Asian community, 70% of kids are born to 2 parents. 2 married parents, while in the black community, 70% of kids are born to single mothers. Look at the outcomes. Both are minority groups, but look at the outcomes. Look at how they perform education. Look at the national income averages for both of these groups, right? It's night and day. And all I'm saying is, hey, we need to change the incentives. We need to change the behaviors. How you drive change in behavior, you change the incentive structure, right? And that's one way government can do it. That's one way laws can do it, right? But I digress.
And I think that goes hand in glove with the education crisis as well, because we have to remember education starts with the family, and the nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind.
And the left keeps consistently trying to incentivize a different family structure, right? And this was this is one of the points I was talking about, how I didn't like how Nikki Haley was butting in a lot on Vivek's commentary about his Middle East foreign policy. So let's check it out.
Do with Israel, because
Yes.
you have said that you would like to see Israel get to a place where they don't need U.S. economic aid, right?
So I want to be very clear
You
about
see
that.
Israel as our most important partner in the Middle East.
Of course. And I think one of the top jobs that the U.S. and Israel share in common is making sure that we never get to a nuclear-armed Iran. I'll tell you this, Martha, is by the end of my first term, our relationship with Israel will be deeper than it ever has been, because it won't just be a client relationship. It'll be a true friendship. What do actual friends do? They push each other to be the strongest version of themselves. I've said that I would lead Israel to Abraham Accords 2.0, getting Saudi Arabia and Oman and Qatar into that agreement. That will take Israel into a brighter future. That's good for Israel, good for the United States. And I also believe that we have a lot to learn from Israel. I love their border policies, their tough on crime policies. Let's bring some of that home here to the United States as well. That's where I'm at.
I think that was a good rebuttal. Like when Nikki Haley was trying to, you're trying to make everyone weaker. I think that was a great rebuttal when he was saying, hey, we should borrow a lot of policies from Israel. I like their border. I like a lot of their policy positions, and I think we need to adopt more of that. So I like how he kind of spun the question, how he really took it. I think Vivek did really well in this debate. I think Ron DeSantis did enough not to lose too much support. I think most of the new gains in voters might come from the Pence, the Chris Christie's, I forgot the guy's name, Doug. I think he did pretty decently too. I don't know much about Doug, but he seemed to do well. Tim Scott, I felt like he was too passive in the debates. I feel like I think this might be the last time we see Tim Scott. Maybe one more debate he'll show up to, and then it's a Rafsky for him, because I just think he was too passive during the whole debate. I think Pence was a little too hyperactive to interject too much. And I felt like Pence had to defend himself a lot more than he should have. I think it's mainly because since he's almost synonymized with Trump's first term, a lot of the criticism that the current candidates have kind of implements him in a way. So he felt the need to defend himself a lot. But I think Mike Pence will probably be around for 3 more debates, I think, before he drops out. But yeah, it seemed like he was gunning for Vivek. I think the biggest winner here is Vivek, right? Because at the end of the day, DeSantis is supposed to hold his lead. He's second place, right? And I think this debate was meant to consolidate a lot of the support around fewer candidates. And I think that's what's going to happen by the next debate. But hey, you guys let me know your thoughts. Let me know who you thought won the debate. If you think I'm too biased, you know, I told you I'm a Vivek guy. Just take 2 points off of my score. Vivek got 8.5. I give Ron 8. I think he did really solid here. I'm very impressed by him. My wife was listening in on the debates, and she said he still sound robotic, but I was like, yo, I can listen. Like, she said, yo, he did solid. I said, okay. My wife's non-political, and I kind of use her as the personality test, and he did pretty fine. Like, I think he was more himself. I don't think he was trying to put on an act, and I think that's all we need from Ron DeSantis. Just be genuine, be who you are, and you don't have to pretend to be something you're not. And I think he did pretty well in this debate. I think this is the best showing I've seen from DeSantis so far, so I give him a strong 8 points. I think Nikki Haley is the next one up with 6. I think she interjected a little bit too much. I didn't like a lot of the positions she took. I felt like she was more focused on bringing the other candidates down instead of showing herself up. Like when she made the Martha Thatcher quote, if you want something said, you ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. I felt like she was just taking a lot of pot shots against the other candidates. I don't think she was really advocating for what she would do until like later on in the debate. So I give her a 6.5. Everyone else, I don't really care to mention here. Sorry, Tim Scott. The biggest loser here, I'll say, is Tim Scott. Actually, I think he was too passive here. I don't remember anything that Tim Scott said, so I felt like it wasn't memorable, right? And then also I really am disappointed that Larry Elder didn't make the debate stage. I think Asa, I don't know how to say his name, Asa. I think he shouldn't have not been there. If I had to trade, I'll trade Asa for Larry Elder. I really would have appreciated having Larry Elder on the debate stage. But hey, you guys let me know what your thoughts are. I think this was a long video. This is unedited. This is just my thoughts. This is 11:32 p.m. where I recorded 30 minutes after the debate just finished. And I just wanted to give my complete thoughts while I'm still processing everything that happened tonight. I hope you guys liked the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your commentary. Let me know your thoughts, who you thought win, how you think things are going to plan out. Give me your ranking order. Give me your list. 10's the best. 1 to 10, who did the best? Give me your list on the comment section. I really do appreciate it. I really want to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I appreciate you guys for watching to the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.